15 insane things rich people did with their money. Welcome to Alux.com, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. Hey Aluxers, we know you've got a fascination for the rich. We all do. So we thought we would take a look at a couple of incredible stories where millionaires and billionaires made use of their vast fortunes. The following people created tremendous fortunes, some through talent, some through smarts or hard work, while others took a different path to get theirs. Either way, these displays of wealth are worth having a look at. Beware though, as some of you might not be able to cope with the idea that someone could spend so much on things you personally do not find important. If you're a fragile snowflake, this video will probably trigger you. With that out of the way, let's have a look at how people who care more or less about their fortunes spend them and on what. If you're new here, welcome. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on Instagram at Alux. Here are 15 insane things multimillionaires and billionaires did with their money. Number 1. Drake bought his neighbor's house so he can't complain about the noise. We all know Drake is a baller, but to be honest, we were quite impressed when we found out that the lyrics from Where Ya At, featuring Future, were actually true. Apparently, the rapper paid $2.85 million to purchase the house next door to his place in Hidden Hills, California, after his neighbor filed a second noise complaint. To be honest, we don't think that's the single reason for the purchase, more like an investment in a high-priced real estate area. His property actually hit the market a couple of months ago for $8 million in total. If you go to the description of this video, you'll find a link with a tour of the place and what $8 million will get you. The gated community also is home to Kanye West and Kim Kardashian, Miley Cyrus, Britney Spears, Ozzy Osbourne, and a couple of other high-profile celebs, so it might be worth checking out. Number 2. Johnny Depp's lifestyle is costing him $2 million a month, $30,000 on wine alone. Johnny Depp is a clear example that it doesn't matter how much money you're making. If you really, really want it, you can spend it all. He's definitely one of the most remarkable actors in our generation, making over $650 million in his entire career. Last year alone, he made $50 million. He usually gets a $20 million upfront check for each of his Pirates of the Caribbean movies, with additional pay coming after the movies are shown in theaters. If you didn't know, Johnny is going through a really rough patch right now, and despite earning all of this money, he's currently in financial ruin. He had a messy divorce to Amber Heard, the current girlfriend of Elon Musk, and is currently in a $25 million lawsuit against his business manager. Everything was topped off when Johnny had his first month unable to pay his $2 million bill for his lavish lifestyle. So, what does he spend so much on? Off the top of the list, there's $3.6 million annually for his 40-person staff, $350,000 monthly for maintaining his 156-foot yacht, $30,000 monthly for wine alone, and get this, he spent $5 million, we're not kidding, to shoot his dead friend's ashes out of a cannon. He better make sure the next Pirates of the Caribbean is a hit. Number 3. After scamming the population of Romania, Sorin Ovidiu Vantu made love to his wife on $100 million in cash in his living room. You might have never heard of this guy before, mostly because he's from Romania, an Eastern European country. To back things up, Romania was a communist country until 1989, and when communism fell, the country's economy was up for grabs. In a tell-all interview, he talks about how after communism fell, his main goal was to cash in. He and the former security elites were like piranhas, trying to get their hands on everything. Only 1 year later, he was living in a 4-bedroom apartment in Bucharest, without any furniture in his living room except $100 million in cash. He celebrated his achievement by popping a bottle of champagne and making love to his wife over the large sum of money. But he didn't stop there. 6 years later, he was the brain behind the biggest Ponzi scheme the country has ever seen, scamming the population out of hundreds of millions. In 2008, he was the 5th richest person in the country, worth just under $1 billion. He's been in jail 2 times, but for short periods of time, later being released under medical circumstances. In the same interview, he says he doesn't regret going to jail. He deserved it, and he got off really easy. He says, and we quote, "If the state would know the things I've done, I'd be locked up for life." Interesting to know is that the richest athlete in the world is not Michael Jordan, but a Romanian tennis player. We also have a video ranking the richest athletes, which you should totally check out. Number 4. Mark Cuban once bought a $40 million jet on eBay. The billionaire investor and Shark Tank celebrity made history in 1999 when he purchased a $40 million private jet on eBay. It went down as the largest e-commerce transaction in the world at the time, and it was inserted in the Guinness Book of World Records. He became a billionaire earlier that year when he sold his company, Broadcast.com, to Yahoo for $5.9 billion. Since then, he's added 2 more to his collection, a Boeing 767 that he rents out, and a Boeing 757 which he uses for the Mavs. The man obviously values his time and says buying a brutally expensive jet is one of the best investments he's made, since it allows him to save more on the most expensive thing in the world: time. Just for those wondering, his record was shattered in 2005 when someone bought a $140 million yacht, also on eBay. If you want to learn more about Mark Cuban, there is a dedicated video of him recently posted on our channel. Number 5. South African President Jacob Zuma justified spending $15 million of taxpayer money on multiple pools at his house in case of fire. This has got to be one of the funniest entries on our list, especially since the South African president is such a figure. He was serving his second term as president until March 2016, when the court ruled against him for using government money to fund his lavish lifestyle. He used the money to upgrade his private residences, including building a cattle enclosure, amphitheater, swimming pools, a visitor center, and a chicken run, whatever a chicken run may be. When confronted about using government funds to build multiple pools on each of his private properties, he justified them saying these are security upgrades. What if one of his homes were to catch fire while he was inside? He would need quick access to water. Officially, he's worth a little under $20 million US, but many from the country speak of his dark past and his involvement in a controversial $5 billion arms deal signed in 1999, saying that over 90% of his wealth is currently outside of the country. He's also a proud polygamist, following a Zulu tradition, and currently has 4 wives. Just wanted to slip that in. Number 6. Pablo Escobar once burned almost $2 million in cash just to keep his daughter from getting cold while on the run. If you've watched our Pablo Escobar video or the TV show Narcos, you're probably familiar with both this story and the incredible life of drug lord Pablo Escobar. This is probably one of the craziest stories involving him, and he's the guy who spent $250,000 a year on rubber bands alone just to keep his cash together. While he was on the run with his family and hiding from the cops, he was left stranded in the jungle. In order to keep his daughter from getting cold during the night, he literally burned around $2 million to keep her warm. If you haven't seen that video, it's definitely worth checking out, as his life would probably top everything you've read on this list, but we still have some really cool things coming up. Number 7. The Sultan of Brunei has a car collection worth at least $300 million. If you're a car guy or gal, the Sultan of Brunei is probably what you think of as goals. If you were alive in the 80s and early 90s, the Sultan of Brunei was the richest man in the world by far, until he was replaced by Bill Gates and soon the industrial elites. The wealth of this man is almost incomprehensible. Not only does he own one of our top 10 most expensive private jets in the world, and held one of the most expensive parties in history, he also has a private car collection with over 5,000 cars, valued at least $300 million. Last time someone checked, he had over 600 Rolls-Royces, 300 Ferraris, over 450 Mercedes, 200 BMWs, and as you can imagine, at least a couple of all the supercars in the world. Every time a luxury car company makes a new model, it's shipped to him with all the add-ons. These cars are spread over multiple garages, private museums, and warehouses. They're basically like candy stores for car enthusiasts. His life is so incredible we had to make a video on him alone. Don't even get us started on his brother, who spent on average $746,000 per day for 10 years. We'll do a video on him at some point in the future. Number 8. Floyd Mayweather is spending roughly $75 million per year. Hey Luxers, who's excited for the upcoming fight between Mayweather and McGregor? Anyone? Mayweather might be one of the most successful boxers to have ever lived, and his 49-0 record is worthy of acclaim no matter if you like the guy or not. One thing we're worried about is the fact that no matter how much money one makes, same as in the previously mentioned case of Johnny Depp, it could all go away if you're not smart about it. Even Mayweather's father said that when Floyd stops fighting, he'll go broke. His strategy so far was fight, get money, spend the money, find another fight, and then repeat. He's spending like crazy on things that do not generate income. His last fight earned him $210 million. That's $5.8 million per minute while he was in the ring. Take a minute to think about that. Pun intended. So how can someone who earns this much money go broke? He's always buying cars, white cars for his Miami house and black cars for his LA home. He spends $25,000 on each mouthpiece made of gold and diamonds, owns a private jet, but doesn't let the full entourage travel with him because he's scared of having too much weight in the cabin. Also, the entertainment bill is in the 7 to 8 digits per year. The crazy thing is, he's spending $3,000 a week on haircuts, despite having no hair. Number 9. Victoria Beckham once spent $1.4 million in one shopping spree in Milan. There are budget shoppers, average shoppers, luxury shoppers, and then there's Victoria Beckham. Imagine yourself as Victoria. It's just before Christmas and you want to shop for gifts for the entire family. What do? Of course, you fly to Milan and start shopping for designer goods. The former Spice Girl picked up handbags, shoes, a selection of dresses, 12 pairs of sunglasses, designer luggage, and 4 sofas during the trip. It wasn't just for herself, though. The mom of 4 bought 2 suits and a $600,000 Rolex for David, too. At the end of the trip, she said, "She did spend a little too much. Shopping is like a drug. The more you have, the more you want." Number 10. Beyonce spent $600,000 on a solid gold rocking horse for Blue Ivy. We could have mentioned the time she bought her husband the 9th most expensive watch in the world for $5 million, or the time she bought him a $40 million private jet, but we feel we've seen that kind of spending before. You know how they do. She buys him a private jet, he buys her a $25 million island, the romance lives on. But what about the billion-dollar baby? What does she get, apart from having a trust, 2 of the most successful artists in history as parents, and a stock in the best-performing tech companies? One of the items she bought Blue was a $600,000 solid gold rocking horse, made by Japanese jeweler Ginza Tanaka. Many other millions were spent on their first baby girl, and if you haven't been living under a rock for the past few months, you know that she recently had twins. And when your parents are Beyonce and Jay-Z, you're one lucky set of twins. The couple reportedly spent close to $10 million in preparation for the arrival of the 2. We told you babies were expensive. After the Paris robbery, Kanye West spent $8 million on security upgrades for his wife, including Kim Kardashian lookalikes. The couple spent over $20 million on redecorating their house in Hidden Hills after the Paris incident. When Kim Kardashian was robbed at gunpoint, the rapper went crazy with security upgrades. Another $6 million went into security tech for the house and on the go, including, if you can believe this, Kim Kardashian lookalikes that are meant to serve as decoys in case of another attack. He also purchased 2 Prom Braun Iron Diamond armored vehicles, costing a whopping $1.2 million each for both himself and his wife. You might think that's a big price to pay just for security, but Kim Kardashian is currently the queen of new media and can definitely afford it. During the launch of her makeup kit, she made $14 million in 20 minutes before selling out everything. Number 12. Russian oligarch Mikhail Gutseriev spent $1 billion on his son's wedding. What do you do when you're worth $6 billion and your son is getting married? Exactly. You spend a sixth of your net worth on his wedding. The father, Mikhail, is an oil tycoon who spent $1.5 billion in 2015 alone buying banks, pension funds, oil refineries, and more, so as you'd expect, he's pretty wealthy. His son, Said Gutseriev, 28, and his bride, student Katya Uzkanova, 20, got married in 2016. But spending that much money on his son's wedding? Geez, talk about overkill. So let's get into it. How do you spend $1 billion on a wedding? You start with the performers. Jennifer Lopez, Enrique Iglesias, and Sting are just a few of the A-list celebrities who performed that night. Her bespoke gown reportedly cost around $1 million alone, custom made for the event by Elie Saab, and was flown in straight from Paris. The crown on her head, $5 million. The cake, custom-made 9-tier cake, taller than a human, made specially for the occasion. Only 600 guests were invited, but these were all incredibly rich people. A never-ending line of luxury Rolls-Royces were seen in front of the location. Each attendee left with a goodie bag containing a delicate gold box engraved with the couple's names and the date of the wedding. The father was born poor and is a self-made man, and when his son was born, he swore one day he'll give him a night he'll never forget. And so he did. Number 13. Mukesh Ambani spent $1 billion to build his home. Another multi-billionaire chose to spend $1 billion building the most expensive house in the world right now. Believe it or not, this 27-floor tower is a single residence. Built for the Indian billionaire Mukesh Ambani, it took almost 5% of his net worth to be completed. Over 600 people are currently employed in order for it to function on a day-to-day basis, and we have to say the palace is incredible. Despite technically being 27 floors, most of the ceiling is double height, making it the equivalent of a 40-story building. So what does $1 billion get you? Space for 168 cars, 3 helipads, spa, terraced gardens, a temple where the family prays regularly. The lobby alone has 11 elevators, a ballroom, a 50-seat theater, and everything else money can buy. The family lives on the top floors because, in their words, they like the sun. We're thinking of making a dedicated video on this particular house alone, if you guys think you'd like to know more about Antillia. Number 14. Prince Al-Waleed Bin Tanal paid $500 million to have the most expensive private jet in the world. From the most expensive house, we move to the most expensive jet. We didn't want to do too many of these so that this video turns into a top most expensive type, but we had to mention the life of Prince Al-Waleed Bin Tanal. And oh boy, there's a lot to talk about. But where do we even start? He's part of the Saudi royal family. He's worth tens of billions of dollars. He owns a major holding company and has more money than he can spend. Just to give you guys a glimpse into his life, the prince has over $700 million in jewelry alone. Let that sink in. $700 million. Oh my god. With that in the back of your mind, spending $500 million on what is today the most expensive private jet in the world doesn't even seem that much, does it? He bought a massive Airbus A380 for $300 million, had it stripped down, and put another $2 million into making it fit his lifestyle. The jet, referred to as the Kingdom in the Sky, besides having everything gold-plated, a solid gold throne in the middle, and it also has a concert hall, a Turkish bath, a garage for Rolls-Royce, and even a prayer room with electronic mats that automatically rotate to face Mecca. The multi-billionaire says he will donate everything he owns to charity when he dies. Speaking of, check out who's last on our list. Number 15. Bill Gates donated $35 billion to charity so far, more than any other human in history. The amount of money Bill Gates has donated to charity is beyond insane. Most of the people on this list combined are not worth that much, with a few exceptions, of course. He has saved over 7 million lives by bringing vaccines and advanced healthcare to children internationally. It's not his massive wealth that is so impressive, it's what he does with it that makes him legendary. Despite for many years being the richest man in the world will not remember him because of his wealth, or for creating Windows or the Microsoft company. The world will remember Bill Gates because of his philanthropy. He is one of, if not the biggest investor in medical tech in the world right now. Through his efforts, he plans to eradicate as many as 20 deadly diseases in the next 15 years. Among other things, he owns the largest privately owned transparent foundation in the world and founded the Giving Pledge, where he vowed to give 95% of his wealth to charitable causes upon his death. Many big names followed in his footsteps, planning to give a minimum of 50% of their wealth when they die. We could honestly spend several hours talking only about how much respect we have for this man and the impact he's having on the world as we know it. And that's why we made a video about him in the past, so we can get some of those achievements out into the world. We know this was a long video, and it contained a weird mix of really rich people spending their hard-earned money in interesting ways, to say the least. So we're curious to know, which of the 15 impressed you the most? Let us know in the comments. After checking with our stats, most of the viewers only watched the first half of our video, never making it to the end like you did. For that, we say thank you, and we'll give you some bonus info just to expand on the last point. The Giving Pledge was started in 2010 by Bill Gates, his wife, and Warren Buffett. Today, the pledge includes 170 of the world's wealthiest individuals, couples, and families, ranging in age from their 30s to their 90s. They represent 21 countries with the aim to use their funds and power to tackle the biggest problems the world is facing. The thing is, as of 2017, there are 2,043 billionaires in the world, and only 170 joined the pledge to give at least half of their wealth to the cause. That's just a little over 8% of them. This is why you need to get rich. Your money and your expertise could help everyone if done right. If you've watched up to this point, please write future billionaire in the comments so we know who the true Aluxers are. And once you get there, remember the impact you can have on the world. Thank you for spending some time with us, Aluxers. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another video. We also handpicked these videos, which we recommend you watch next. Thank you for being an Aluxer, and we'll see you back tomorrow.